What's up, everybody? It's your man, KJ the Great, dropping another edition of All Sports Media TV. But first, I want to say, I hope and pray everything is great your way. Now, let's get to it. All right, you guys. So today, ESPN put out their top 10 pound for pound rankings, and I wanted to just kind of talk about it a little bit. So you guys tell me what you think. At number one, they've got three-division world champion, current WBO welterweight world champion, undefeated, 39 wins, no losses, no draw, 30 wins by way of knockout, Terrence Bud Crawford. At number two, they've got Naoya the Monster Inoue, who will be taking on Stephen Fulton this summer. At number three, they've got unified heavyweight champion, former undisputed cruiserweight world champion, Alexander Usyk, coming off of back-to-back wins over Anthony Joshua. Then they've got, at number four, Errol the True Spence Jr., current WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion, coming off of a stoppage over Yordenis Ugas. Undefeated fighter, 28 wins, no losses, no draws, 22 wins coming by way of knockout. Then number five, they got Canelo Alvarez, 58 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. He is coming off of a win over Triple G. That was expected. Number six, they've got Dimitri Bivol coming off of a win over Zurdo Ramirez. He also beat Canelo Alvarez prior to that. Then they've got Tyson the Gypsy King Fury, who's coming off of a stoppage win over Derek Chisora. Then they've got Artur Beterbiev, who is coming off of a 9th round stoppage over Anthony Yard. 100% knockout ratio with that guy. He's a beast. Then at number 9, they've got Shakur Stevenson, former unified champion, made his lightweight debut against Yoshino after being ducked by Isaac Pitbull Cruz. And then at number 10, they've got Devin the Dream Haney, coming off of back-to-back wins over George Kambosos Jr., becoming the undisputed lightweight champion. And now he's going into a highly anticipated fight against Vasily Lomachenko May 20th. So let's talk about this list. Really, I want to know from you guys who you think should be on there, who you think should be off. I know a lot of people were up in arms because Gervonta Tank Davis is not on this list. And I want people to understand, I don't know exactly how they make these lists. But when you talk, the pound for pound list, I guess you would have to consider who they faced and the potential of them being able to beat anybody in the sport of boxing at that current time. I would say the only reason Gervonta Tank Davis is not on this list is because he's coming off of a win over Ryan Garcia, who, although he's a big name, he's not a world champion, never fought for a world title. Prior to that, he beat Hector Luis Garcia, who was the WBA 130 champion. Prior to that, he beat Rolly Romero, who also is not a world champion. So I don't know. Maybe you can find somewhere to put him in there. But let's talk about that first, that top 5. I believe Terrence Crawford, he should stay right there at number 1. My opinion, though, for number 2, Errol Spence, in my opinion, should be number 2. All things considered, Naoya Inoue, great fighter. I just believe Errol Spence, he's number 1, if not number 2. Argue that which way you want to. And the heavyweights being on the list, it's kind of hard for me to what do you say, grade the heavyweights, because I thought these lists were created, for non-heavyweights. So, me personally, if you're going to keep Usyk and Tyson Fury on this list, I'm not saying they couldn't pound for pound beat any of these guys, but you can move them down. Canelo Alvarez still being top 5 is just not. He's he's the current, so said, face of the sport of boxing. So I guess that's their reason for keeping him on there. But for me, a guy who beat you and then you go and fight Triple G, which you should have won that fight. I just probably believe he should be lower on the list, maybe 7 or 8 on the list. That's just my belief. Until he reels off, the John Ryder win, the potential David Benavidez fight, he should be a little bit lower. Then we talk about Artur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol, 2 light heavyweight champions that make up for light heavyweight undisputed if that ever gets made. I believe Artur Beterbiev is in the top 6. I believe Dimitri Bivol is in the top 7, whichever way you want to argue it. I like both fighters. I'm not really biased or leaning more towards one side if they do fight, or who's better, who's not. They both have different styles, and I like both of them. Now we get down to the bottom. We're talking about, excuse me, Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. I believe Devin Haney should be on this list. He's an undisputed lightweight champion. I also believe he should be higher on this list. My opinion. If you're undisputed, unified, you should be considered for the higher, possibly top 5 in this list, potentially. I know I said that about Canelo, but, bouncing around between divisions, I'm just not really with that. Devin Haney went to Australia 2 times, 1 to pick up undisputed, 1 to defend undisputed. Now he's about to defend undisputed again. How is that not worthy of at least top 6, top 7, maybe even top 5, or even top 2 or top 3? How is that? Shakur Stevenson, I believe he should be on this list. Him making his lightweight debut and him getting a stoppage over Yoshino coming in at number 9, I would say that's probably accurate, or 1 spot up from where he could be. I'm not saying he's not that good of a fighter. He is that good of a fighter. Skilled southpaw. He's got the tools. I just believe that Devin Haney should be ranked higher than him at this point for where they're both at. Devin Haney, he has all the belts, king of the division. Why not? Now, for me, I know a lot of people are critical of this fighter, but Jermell Charlo, undisputed 154-pound champion. I know he's on injury right now, but prior to that, I believe he should have been on the list, somewhere between the top 8. Work that out however you feel. I mean, the guy's undisputed. The only loss that he had, he came back and avenged that loss with a knockout. The only draw he had, he came back and avenged that with a knockout to gain undisputed. So, I mean, come on now. Rock with me. Now, I also wanted to get into this because recently the fight with Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia is said to have done upwards of 1.2 to 1.4 million pay-per-view buys. And a lot of people were saying, oh, is this the new face of boxing? And this new face of boxing? That's possible, But I want to hear from you guys. Who do you think is the face of boxing? Do you still think Canelo is the face of boxing? I believe if you want to say Canelo is still the face of boxing, he has the slight edge right now over Gervonta Tank Davis. And a lot of people say, well, he does bigger numbers, of course. But Gervonta Davis is on that path to do big numbers like that. You look at each division, Tank, he's pretty much what you would consider the face of the lightweight division, although he's not the champ at that division. 140 is kind of up in the air. I know Josh Taylor was undisputed at that division, so you could kind of say he probably still is. 147, that's between Spence and Crawford. I personally believe it's Spence because he's been there longer. He's unified. Yeah, he beat all those guys in that division prior to Crawford. So I believe that's and on top of that, he does better numbers consistently than Crawford. So that's Spence. 154, Charlo, he's the face of that division. 160, it was Triple G, but now it's just up in the air. 168, it's Canelo. He's undisputed. But my opinion, it won't be for long because David Benavidez is coming. 175, you could say, man, Artur Beterbiev, Dimitri Bivol, whichever one they want to say. I say it's probably Dimitri Bivol just for the slight edge, having beat Canelo. So, yeah, I mean, then we talk about the heavyweight division. Clearly, that's Tyson Fury right now. You know, he's beaten Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua has fell off almost completely with 3 losses. I believe that he lost what is that? I don't know. He's got 3 losses, man. He lost to Andy Ruiz, and then he lost back-to-back to Alexander Usyk. So I want to hear from you guys, man. Who do you think is top 10 pound for pound? And also, who do you think right now is the face of the sport of boxing? Drop that comment for me, people. I appreciate it. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Peace.